Most guys believe that attraction is about saying the right thing at the right moment, making the girl laugh, being interesting, or being really impressive. But real attraction comes down to being able to build sexual tension. And tension is not built with words, it's built in the moments between the words. It's been close to 16 years since I first started reading about social dynamics, dating, and relationships, and it's been close to 12 years that I started teaching this to other guys. And by far, the biggest mistake that I see guys make in the beginning, especially when they start getting better at talking to women, being more confident, and feeling more at ease in this environment, the by far most common mistake is that they release tension too early. In fact, most men will do anything to avoid tension. So the moment tension starts to build, rather than letting it build for their benefit, they will do anything they can to release the tension because it feels slightly uncomfortable, especially when you're not used to it. So let's talk about why you need tension, and then we'll dig into the 4 ways that most guys destroy the tension the moment it starts building. So why do you want tension? And already the question is asked in a kind of deceptive way, because the reality is you don't need to create tension. Tension should organically be there because you're a man, she's a woman, and something could happen between the two of you, and that should inherently create tension. This is why when you just hold eye contact with a woman and you don't talk, there's this feeling of tension. You can literally feel it inside of you, this slight excitement, this, oh, could something happen here? That is the tension that you're looking for. It's not something that you need to consciously build. Rather, you need to be careful to not destroy it. So you can play with it like an energy that's between the two of you and that is supposed to be there and that you can use to your benefit. So next time you talk to a girl, I want you to get better at noticing that feeling. Whenever you stop talking, you just look at the girl, notice that feeling in your body. Can you feel this feeling? It might feel like tension, it might feel like excitement, but you can literally feel it. And if you keep just looking at girls, girls will feel it as well. And they will often say something like, what? Why do you keep looking at me? Right? And you can see it in their face that they're like all blushing and they're like, oh, they can feel this excitement as well. This is the normal feeling that you should feel as a man when you're near a woman, that a woman should feel when she's near you as a man. It's not something you need to artificially create. Now, there's 4 ways men typically destroy this tension. And the first one, and probably most obvious one, is breaking eye contact. And this is not about being the guy who's constantly staring everybody down and holding eye contact till death do us part. Not at all. But the idea is that whenever you say something funny, whenever you say something where you could get judged for it, whenever you say something that might be slightly offensive, that's the moments when you want to hold eye contact. You don't want to show fear. You don't want to show discomfort. You should be comfortable with that eye contact, right? You should be able to maintain solid eye contact with other people at will. It's not something that you have to enforce all the time where you stare the other person down, but you should be comfortable with holding eye contact. And this is something you can actually practice. I had a client, one of my first clients ever, who really struggled with this. And I told him to just start holding eye contact with people in public. He should make this rule for himself that whenever he's walking down a street, when he's in public transport and his eye contact crosses that of somebody else, he should never be the one to stop looking first. Just get used to that feeling so it becomes a normal thing. And then you can start to consciously break eye contact. And that's when you can start playing with it. When you know that holding eye contact can create tension, you also know that breaking eye contact can purposefully lower the tension, reduce it, or even entirely kill it. The second tool is strategically using silences. So I already mentioned this in the beginning. Whenever you're in an interaction and you stop talking, you will notice that feeling of tension arise because all of a sudden there is this empty space between the two of you. Nobody's saying anything. Ideally, you get good at playing with your eye contact. You use it, and there will be this instinct, and most men feel this instinct to fill in that emptiness. There's this void between you and the girl, and you feel like, oh, I have to say something. But this is the same as with the eye contact. You can just be there and enjoy the silence and almost think of it as you putting pressure on the girl. And that was something that I personally struggled with a lot. When I started my journey in this whole self-development, in this dating space, getting better at communicating with women, I struggled with silences. I always felt the urge to keep going and to make other people feel comfortable. So whenever there was silence, my instinct was to just start talking. And oftentimes it will also show itself in me talking very fast. So rather than doing that, whenever that is your instinct, tell yourself that you're just going to wait for 2 more seconds. That's what I did back then. I would just tell myself, well, whenever I feel the need to start talking again, I will just be quiet for 2 more seconds. 21, 22. And then I can talk, just giving myself this pause, this moment to take a step back, to breathe, right? This gives space in the room. This allows her to feel the tension. It allows the tension to arise and to just be there between the two of you. So the third mistake a lot of guys make is that they're verbally over-committing. So you're constantly agreeing with the other person. Again, trying to make the other person feel comfortable and avoiding any type of conflict. You're never really making jokes about anything they say. You're always trying to have a very similar opinion or not sharing your real opinions that could be offensive or could be risky. That's a sort of verbal overcommitment, right? You're not taking a stance, you're not taking your position, you're not sharing what you really believe because it could create conflict between the two of you. Conflict equals tension equals discomfort, so your brain instinctively thinks it's a bad thing. But the reality is that, again, having a little bit of tension, this emotion where you feel the anxiety, it's actually a great thing. It's a tool for you. It's a tool for the interaction to move forward. And I want to use an analogy here. Think of going to a movie theater and watching a movie. If you watch that movie and the movie it's kind of an okay movie, you know, maybe it's some comedy movie and it cracked you up a little bit. It was fun, you know, you had a good evening, or it was a thriller and you watched it and you're like, yeah, kind of a cool story, you know, yeah, was worth going. And that's the feeling you had. Sure, there's 1 million of these movies. Is it going to keep you up at 1 a.m. thinking about that movie? Are you very likely to go back the next weekend with another friend and watch the movie again because you want him to see it as well? Most likely not. And it's the same with dating. You don't want to be the guy who's just okay. You want to be memorable. And in order to be memorable, you need to create the right emotions, or you need to allow the right emotions to be present. So you want to be that thriller that keeps the other person up at night, that creates so much tension, where there's so much tension between the two of you that the other person cannot stop thinking about you when you part ways. And this is something that I've also personally struggled with a lot when I got started in this, and I see pretty much every single guy struggle with this. We all have a tendency to be a little bit too nice and accommodating, so we don't want to offend other people, we don't want to make them feel bad, we want to look like we don't want to look like a dick. So instead of voicing our real opinion, instead of saying the funny joke that's in our mind, and instead of making fun of the other person, sometimes we hold back. We're kind of putting on a fake persona. We're sharing opinions that are not really ours. We're complying with what other people say. So we're avoiding the tension. And you can train this by purposefully forcing yourself. In the next interaction you have, let it out once in that interaction. One thought you have where you're thinking, oh, I probably shouldn't say this. Say it. The joke that's on your mind where you're thinking, it's probably not funny. Say it. You're winning by just saying it. Even if nobody laughs, even if the other person gets offended, you are already winning by just saying what's on your mind. And whenever you offend somebody, don't forget, you can always say, hey, I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke. I'm sorry, right? And then move on. And the fourth mistake that a lot of guys make is that they don't close the distance. So you might be the best communicator in the world. You might be funny, witty, amazing at creating tension. But if you wait for her to close the gap between the two of you, if you wait for her to make a move, nothing's gonna happen. The mistake most guys make is that they wait for the right moment. So essentially they wait for the girl to give them a sign. That sign would allow them to make a move. So they're like, oh, I'm gonna wait for the right moment. And then at some point it's going to feel like the right moment already passed. You'll sit there and be like, damn, now it's kind of already a bit weird. And that means you miss the right moment. And the idea here is that there is no right moment. You have to create it by just making a move and risking a little bit of tension, risking something maybe going wrong, you getting rejected, the girl turning her face away, and that's okay, right? Sometimes you don't know, sometimes that's how it is, but you have to take a risk. Going for what you want to go for, you have to take the risk of building the tension, you have to take the risk of maybe things not going 100% smooth, and again, that's what makes you the man, the person who's leading, the person who's in charge, the person who has to take the risk of things not working out, and yeah, living with that, right? We're not doing anything wrong, we're not doing anything illegal, we're just making a move, and if she doesn't feel like it, then she's not going to go with it, right? That's how simple it is. So, that being said, if you want help with this, there's a link to my calendar down below. Let's hop on a call, let's have a chat about where you're at right now, how I can help you improve your situation, work on becoming the man you have to be, work on understanding what kind of women you like and what these women want in their life, and how to communicate with them as the person you are, putting yourself out in the best possible way.